Hello, so in this video we're going to be looking at the British Light Anti-Gas Respirator series and how it sort of evolved into the Canadian C3. So in this video I've got three masks to show you. The Light Anti-Gas Respirator Mark 1, the Light Anti-Gas Respirator Mark 2, and the Canadian C3. And I also believe there may be a very rare British mask called the Light Anti-Gas Respirator Mark 3, which is essentially the same as this. So let's look at all of the masks in a bit more detail. So the series started out with the Light Anti-Gas Respirator Mark 1, or as it would have just been called at the time, the Light Anti-Gas Respirator. And the point of this was to make a lightweight mask that didn't require a hose or anything like that soldiers could wear. So the revolutionary idea at the time was you had your mask and you had a 60mm filter, and you could simply screw a filter into that mask and away you went. So obviously this was much more lighter and practical than a lot of the old things like the Mark 5 GSRs and things like that. Now it's still quite primitive. As you can see on the inside there is no TISO tube system. There's no TISO tube system and there's no oral nasal cup. Essentially it is just a mask. An XL valve at the front, the two eyepieces, and you've obviously on this side got the intake coming in. That's all there is to it. Very, very simple. However, as a gas mask it does still function. So this one, as you can see, it says NOL2 W&G 1944 on the strap. There's other stamps all over it. This is one that was sold to Denmark after it had been made by Britain. It says normal there, which I guess is the size. You've got the British sort of quality inspection arrow on bits of it. And it says URP 144, so January 1944 on the rubber there. So let me just quickly put this one on, which is going to be a bit difficult. There we go. So this one has no speech diaphragm, so as you can probably tell I'm going to be a bit muffled. You also notice it starts fogging up fairly quickly because there's no oral nasal cup or TISO tube system. So let's get that off because that's rather uncomfortable now. It's made from quite a good thick rubber, however that rubber isn't all that flexible. I don't know if that's due to age or if that was a limitation of this design. Because when the Light Anti-Gas Respirator Mark 2 came about, it has a couple of little design improvements. So here's the LaG Mark 2. Now there's kind of two major improvements to this. Number one is the rubber is softer and more supple. It's a bit thinner. Now as I said, this could be an aging thing, so I could be wrong about this, but I imagine this was an improved design to make the rubber, more flexible, so it's more comfortable. And it's got a speech diaphragm. So you've got the exhale valve in the same place, but then this sort of nipple that sticks out of the mask has got the voice diaphragm in it, so it's got a metal disc in there that vibrates, and that obviously acts as a speech diaphragm. So now if I pull this one on, this particular one is from, if I can find a date on it, it's actually an Avon one from December 1952, but there you go. So this is a sort of Korean War period one, or post-World War II, but these were made at the end of World War II. So inside, as you can see before I put it on, it's a very similar looking mask on the inside. The only major difference, obviously, as I said, is this one's got a better rubber system and it's got a better speech diaphragm in it. So, as you can see, a bit easier to get this one on because the rubber actually sort of flexes more to your face. And you can probably hear me a bit better because it's actually got a voice diaphragm in it. So, for all accounts and purposes, the Light Anti-Gas Respirator Mark 2 is still a big improvement over the Mark 1, because it's literally just more comfortable and people can hear you when you speak. So yeah, it's a good improvement, but you can notice, oh, it's fogging up again, oh dear, because it's still got that problem. So along comes the Light Anti-Gas Respirator Mark 3 or the Canadian C3, and let's show you how that fixed all the problems. And here's the Canadian C3. So it's got an improved voice diaphragm, and the main difference though, if you look inside, there is now an oral nasal cup in it. So when you are wearing the mask, it doesn't actually fog up very quickly because it's got an oral nasal cup in it. Now, although it's still got the same intake system, how this is obviously cut means that, and I don't know if this is going to be very obvious on the camera, when the air comes in, it's kind of blown up onto the lenses anyway, using a reflector system built into the oral nasal cup. So it's not a perfect system, it doesn't actually have a TISO tube system, but it works better than not having one. But the main thing is it has an oral nasal cup system, and again, it's the more comfortable, flexible rubber. So let's put this one on. Right, there we go. So hopefully you can hear that my voice is a bit more clearer in this one, and you can see that it's not steaming up. So there you go. So the Canadian C3 was certainly the best design out of this lot, simply for the fact that it actually, you know, had an oral nasal cup in it. But you can see how the masks evolved. So you went from this one, you know, with the not so flexible rubber, no oral nasal cup, no voice diaphragm, to one that was made from a bit more flexible rubber, and it actually had a voice diaphragm in it, to the one that actually has an oral nasal cup in it, a voice diaphragm, and is more flexible rubber. So each mask is definitely an improvement on the previous one. But for a mask designed in World War II, this isn't a bad design at all, but they definitely got better over time. So hopefully you found this video short and to the point, but it just simply shows you how the light anti-gas respirators evolved over time. Now there's also some Australian light anti-gas respirators. I know one of those is actually made in a camo design, which is quite cool. You don't see that very often with masks, but yeah, there you go. There's the British light anti-gas respirator series, or the Commonwealth Light Anti-Gas Respirator series, I guess you should call it, because it went from Britain to Australia to Canada and everything like that. But there you go, quite an interesting series of masks.